Okay. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and maybe good night to some of you. So we would like to welcome you all to this workshop, the Data Center Curriculum Workshop. Um, on behalf of IEC, IEC stands for Inclusive Engineering Consortium. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, and IEC is a nonprofit organization comprised of historically minority-serving institutions working to advance electrical and computer engineering. And as part of this effort, as part of our objective, we have this type of workshops where we look at uh, innovative ways that where electrical and computer engineering departments can engage with industry, and how can this lead to fruitful collaborations that benefit our students. Um, this morning, we're talking about a specific collaboration between Hampton University and iMasons, and how this and we'll see how this collaboration came to be. So we're discussing history and collaboration. This is they supported senior projects at Hampton, so we'll talk about the senior project and how the implementation and the assessment of this effort. We'll have remarks by the students, and as we mentioned, one of the ideas is to move to see how can this be adopted broadly across the other and bring other partner institutions into the mixture. So Hampton will talk about their plans, but also where we want to go from there, and maybe what potential collaborations could occur, and that engage other institutions into this type of effort, and will be followed by an open discussion and closing remarks. So I want to welcome everyone and thank you for your participation, and thank you to the panelists and the people from iMasons and Hampton for sharing this effort with us.
Well, thanks, Miguel. Should we move on to the second agenda topic?
Yeah, to the history. Yeah, please, Jeff.
Great. I guess I'll jump in. I'm Jeff Olmelchuk, an executive director with Infrastructure Masons, and iMasons is a professional association, a professional society of people in the digital infrastructure industry. That is, the people that build the physical and logical underpinnings of the internet worldwide, and and we sponsored this senior capstone project at Hampton. Um, and I just want to put out that our goal out of this meeting is to get the help of the IEC members to sort of chart our path forward to a collaboration moving forward. And I really see two avenues of collaboration. The first is we're looking for additional schools. We'd like, the capstone was just, the final presentations were yesterday morning, and one would like to find expand the program and recruit additional schools from the IEC to host similar capstone projects next year. And we'll talk more about that. And the other avenue is we're very interested in creating a network of data center labs at schools and developing the curriculum that can be, taught and delivered within those labs in a somewhat standardized core, and then of course the universities can embellish it as it suits their research needs, but we'd like to work with IC to develop that sort of core curriculum and what happens with the data center lab when we work with you all to install one at one of your schools. What happens then? So those are my two goals, is to chart these two paths forward: capstones for next year and potential data center labs. So with that, this topic, the first thing we were supposed to talk about is how did we get here? What happened? And I'd like to invite Philip and Dr. Geddes, Philip Marangella of EdgeConneX and Dr. Geddes, to maybe start that conversation.
Well, Jeff, this has been a great partnership this year. So please, you don't have to call me Dr. Geddes anymore. I'm just Demetrius to you.
All right, your call.
So how did we get here? You mentioned the fact that you guys would like to build data centers at the various IECs, and so um, you know I have been at Hampton University for 4 years, And one of the things that I've been trying to do as the department chair is to upgrade our lab facilities. And so um, most of our IC partner schools have telecommunication labs, and they probably were installed maybe in the early or late 90s. Hampton's was. So it was a donation, and we actually made a good use of it. But it's been quite a while since it's been upgraded. And so my goal as department chair was to try to see how we could work with um, some of the folks like Google or some of the other companies that have data centers to see if they would actually work with us to fit one of our labs with sort of a mini data center setup. And so, in working with a colleague from Keysight, Doug Bainey, he actually had connections with iMasons. I had never heard of iMasons before. And so that's where I believe I met Philip. And so we started talking about what I wanted to do at Hampton. And he's like, well, if we give you this, are you guys really going to be able to fully utilize it? What else are you guys going to do? So they started hammering me on questions like that. But they were good questions. And but they actually wanted it to be bigger than just Hampton. And so they said, okay, yeah, sure, we probably can help you guys out, but man, we want to reach more than just Hampton. And so so that's sort of where IEC came to play. I guess maybe you guys got a connection through Doug as well to meet iMason, the IEC. And so going over the history, I'm an engineer, but I love history too. But just to be open, I got pushed into a meeting with IEC, the IEC, and with iMasons, and they're saying, Demetrius, you gotta dream a little bit bigger than this. And so that sort of started the process of us being involved with IEC. But in the meantime, we sort of pivoted with iMasons a little bit. So instead of us focusing on building a data center on campus, we developed, they said, well, we would like to start with just sponsoring your capstone. And so we worked on that. And so it's really been a great partnership. So thanks, Jeff and iMasons and your whole iMasons team for this 8 months of partnership so far.
Yeah,
Philip, you want to? Yeah.
Just to add on that, right, in terms of how this all came about. I'm with a company called EdgeConneX. It's a large global data center operator. We build data centers for Microsoft and Google and Amazon and all that and so forth. And so when this request came in, and we build of all sizes, big and small and everything in between. So when the request came in, say, hey, can we help support, maybe put a very micro data center into Hampton? I'm like, sure. I mean, that's easy, right? Relatively speaking, we can get our part, like, this is where the Masons comes in, right? This is the community that takes part in the infrastructure Masons, and to be able to get gear and what have you. But as Dr. Geddes said, no matter, I'll still be deferential, Doctor. There was an opportunity, right? Because in terms of the charter for the infrastructure Masons that Dean has established, it's about education, it's about diversity and inclusion, it's about sustainability, and it's about technology and innovation. And I thought, having a collaboration with not only Hampton, but the entire universities that are part of the IEC, there's tremendous potential to touch on all 4 of those facets. First and foremost was education. Can we create, we struggle as an industry, right, to have young, diverse, engineers and the next builders, as we call, of the digital age, right? We're all old and undiverse in this industry, and we recognize it's a big problem. And here is a fantastic opportunity that could come about initially in the form of a capstone, but potentially evolve into something greater where you know, everybody wins in the process. But first and foremost, the students will be the winners, right? Because we really wanted to open their eyes to the opportunities as not only engineers, but as architects, as business students, and so forth, that there's tremendous opportunities in this great industry that has the need for their skill sets, right? And their capabilities. And so it was going to be a win-win. And that's, you know, again, working with Jeff, we thought, hey, the path of least resistance to get something going would be a capstone, right? In terms of getting approvals. Let's try it with Hampton. And we didn't know, right? We were going to the moon. We didn't know what to expect, right? But as we said, yesterday was the final presentation of their capstone. There was 2 teams, a dozen. It was awesome. It was awesome to see when these students started, knew nothing about data centers, and at the end, they were presenting to senior leaders at Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, maybe Facebook, you know, my CEO and others. And it was cool. They were poised, they were knowledgeable, they collaborated, and it was just so cool to see, because we didn't know where we're going to go when we started this, but it turned out. And that's what's exciting about this is we touch on the education aspect. We touch on diversity from the professor's standpoint around when we had talks before with the IAC, you know, this is where getting the professors involved, because we're always looking at innovation and technology and new ways to be more sustainable and more efficient and so forth. So there's potential tech transfer in terms of commercializing some of these innovations that maybe professors develop. So you can go, you know, not to go off on all these tangents, and you can tell I'm excited about it after yesterday. You know, just it was just a fantastic experience. And the exclamation point on that is we at EdgeConneX have already hired one of the students. They will be joining our engineering team after they have graduated. We have a few other candidates interested in internships because they have not yet graduated. And that's what we want to accomplish, not just with ourselves, but the rest of the companies that are involved and you know, incubate the next future, the builders of the digital age. So again, I sorry for going on that stuff, but you know, still excited after yesterday's event. It was a long journey, and I was happy where we ended up. We couldn't have been better. So
we weren't scripted by Jeff today, Philip. So that's why we went a little long on it, didn't we? So, but none of this wouldn't have been able to take place if we didn't have professors who were on board with doing this with our capstone. And so Dr. Lee did an excellent job of leading the students and working with the mentors from iMasons to really make it a success for us.
Thank you, delegates. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Jeff.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is it my turn?
Yep.
All right. Okay. How can I share my screen? I have one slide.
For the green button, hopefully.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Is it on the screen? Is my PowerPoint on the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yes. I can also see you.
Oh,
see
that's
you.
good.
And Dr. Muhammad, how are you?
Not too bad for an old guy.
It's been a long time. I didn't see you.
Jeff, everybody on earth knows me, so that, you know. How you been? Good?
yeah, I'm being good.
That's
I'm
good.
not a troublemaker, so I'm good. All right. The capstone design we did was iMason. Last year was the first time that Hampton senior students partner with the industry to do a real-time problem, and I certainly learned a lot. You know, the leadership skill from Jeff, and you know, the great deal about the data center, etc. Learn a lot from, you know, from the iMasons. The learning outcome of our capstone design, the biggest one is for them to apply the skills and knowledge they learned over the past 3 or 4 years to a design process. And a typical design product is usually a mixture of hardware and software. For example, students can design a autonomous charging station, a energy conversion system using the solar panel, etc. So that is what they usually did. But this year, I mean, the 2020 to 21 year academic year is quite unique. We have the iMasons with us for the past 8 months. So the mentors, Jeff, Philip, Chan, they're with Bill, they're with us every week to listen to the students' presentations, give the feedbacks, and mentor them in their own time. So we really appreciate their efforts. They're putting the energy into the project and helping our students. The goal of the iMason project, Jeff sent us a very nice document, very detailed, and told the students what to do in this project. So basically, they want our students to deliver a proposal that requires site selections, a floor layout design, the power consumption analysis, and finally the budget that includes the construction cost and the operational cost. And the first semester, the students did the site selection. The second semester, students did the floor design, power consumption, and budget analysis, etc. So that is what our students did over the past 8 months. The challenges I see from the project, you know, students. In the February, especially, you know, when we had a pandemic and also the spring break, students came back. They're pretty slow. They were pretty slow in the implementation. I mean, in the second phase. So the comment we had for the student was the presentation are too high level. Didn't include much details, especially on the technical side. So we got an email from, you know, from the iMasons that suggest more modeling and stimulation. So we pass that message to the students, and students, you know, really see us as a debating parents. So they're like, oh, so they cannot satisfy both sides. And one comment is like, how can the students get 100 in the presentation, etc. So my takeaway is that how can we make our goals in the capstone design and the goals from the iMasons compatible or in line. So students will know we are on the same side and not conflicting with each other. So that is one challenge I saw during the February.
Dr. Lee, if I may, can you repeat this the student feedback? I didn't get it quite.
Okay, so they said because we told the students their presentation is pretty high level. They didn't provide much details. Say the comments the mentors had were like they gave the terms or brands. They gave the options, but didn't have much details about the components. For example, how to choose those components. What is the decision? Based on what criteria, etc. So, and another comment we received from, we also saw from for the students, or they missed the modeling and simulation part. They didn't do much modeling and simulation. They are missing the system schematic in the presentation. So we saw, we told the students the presentation are pretty high level, and so students said we can't. So they believe that is from our faculty side. So they said, oh, we cannot satisfy both, because iMasons just want to have the site selection, floor design, power consumption, and budget. And where is the technical side of the iMason project? So, so we are telling students, in the power consumption, we definitely could have some schematic and technical side under it. So why not to do some, technical analysis using the circuitry or the software you learned over the past. But the students, we encountered a great resistance from the students. So one comment like, she cannot satisfy both, and she want to get a 100, etc. So that is the resistance we got from the students. So later, if we want to do it to, next year, I definitely want to see, our goals and iMason's goals are more compatible or in line, so students wouldn't see us as a debating, the parents, with different views. So another challenge is the technical aspect. How much? So one comment I got from students is that how much details should be covered or should be addressed in the iMason project. So that is a question. I don't know how to answer that. So we definitely want the students to dig more. The more they can give us, the better. So that is what I thought. So maybe you can help me. The IEC can help me more. So that is what I have. But iMasons help us and sponsor the scholarship, mentorship to the students, and we greatly appreciate. And this is the first time we partner with the industry to do the real problem. So in the past, all the projects came from the students' imaginary. They're all open-ended, but this time it's a real problem. So I think students learn a lot. So that is definitely, that is what I have.
Thanks, Dr. Lee. I wanted to jump in and say, and thank you to Hampton. And as you said, this was the first time we've done this, and we kind of jumped in early, jumped in at the beginning of the term, and it's like, well, we got to go. So we, so we went, and we do plan, we're meeting actually with the students and the Hampton faculty next week. We have a meeting scheduled to kind of debrief and also get student input on what was your experience like, what should we do different next time, and kind of tune this up before we expand it to additional schools, we hope. So this was a pilot. We'll continue to dial it in, but it was a very successful first go, I think.
Yes.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Jeff, this is Dean. One thing that comes to mind there is that the scoping document that you have for the capstone project.
Yeah.
It sounds like we could just add a few more segments in there to cover what Dr. Lee's talking about.
Yeah, maybe that's, maybe that's what we do. you know, exactly. I think there's a number of things that we can, you know, that we can improve next go round, but it's a good start.
Well, what and sorry to go tactical, but a couple of things that came up in mind for me, you know, if that's just a process thing, you want them to basically show their work, you know, just like you do in math. We need to see what the work is. So, and I think that's what came up is we did site selection with this criteria. Here's the inputs for it. And so if we're explicit inside of the capstone project for that, that's a requirement that lines up to what she's looking for. There's more detail.
Yeah.
And whether it's site selection or, you know, electrical designs or one lines, like those are requirements in there. And, you know, one other thing that came to mind as I was listening to the presentations is the soft skills and the presentation skills. There's a lot of technical and engineering aspects that are being taught and learned in this one, but maybe there's even more in which they like how the presentations are done and the polish of the presentations. And even the simple thing of like a 4:3 format versus a 16:9 format, which would be, you know, what's happening in the industry mostly. And just ways to help them with how do you pitch this stuff that's smooth and clean and seamless in the presentation. Very powerful, you know. I don't know if that's something that could be worked into the curriculum as well, but it's just those skills to be able to sell, I guess, your idea. Because they did a great job, by the way. I'm not saying it, but it's almost like part of the curriculum to say that you're going to be presenting to industry executives. You know, how do you get your point across cleanly and smoothly?
I think those are great ideas, and there's lots of opportunity to tune this up. And I think the focus of this meeting is to, you know, chart our path forward. So,
And you know, I think what came up. So this is the day after. So Dr. Lee has been she's worked so hard. And so it's still on. All of the battles that are not seen sort of came to the surface a little bit. But you know, from a department standpoint, after we got off the meeting with you guys, we applauded them for doing a great job. However, some of those challenges, you know, we actually had really good debates going, you know, back and forth with the students, and it really it shows some of the challenges that we had initially when we talked about, you know, how technical can this get, right? Is this going to meet ABET? So, you know, those are some of the things that actually came up, you know, in terms of the level of detail we want versus them actually having a good global understanding of something. And so there's always going to be that trade-off there in terms of how the students are able to present that. But I think in the end, it all came together. You have to have those tough times with the students. And it worked well. I'm a person who, if there's a good idea, I want to go ahead and jump into it and learn along the way. And this was one of those opportunities where we were really grateful that you guys came on board without us having to spend, you know, another year planning. So now we have had we went through the cycle. We had some, you know, growing pains, but in the end, everything came out nice, but we can make it better. And that's what Dr. Lee is stating.
You know, speaking of the students, the next agenda topic is to hear from the students, and immediately after their capstone presentations, I mean, they got off the Zoom line and jumped on another Zoom line. I asked most of the students, you know, what did you learn? What was your experience? And we recorded those conversations, and we have a little video that I'd like to play of the students. And again, this is just, they just did their capstone presentation yesterday morning, and this is, you know, the students immediately after. So Dr. Lee, if you could let go of the screen, I'll share mine.
Okay.
There we go. I think I'm sharing it, and I need to find the right so that you hear the video. I think I need to unshare to make that control come back. Hang on.
You have to unshare and then share the. When
Turn
you do
on
the
original
share,
sound. That's what I wanted to do.
you
Okay.
have to share. You have to click the share the
Yeah.
sound thing.
Okay, here we go. And so all of you just finished your student presentation.
Can you turn it up?
The end of the year capstone presentation. How you feeling?
I'm not gonna lie, and I was expecting a lot of work, but I definitely was not expecting like the all-nighters, the multiple calls with mentors, getting angry with other people just for the simple fact that they're not trying to give me information because I'm a student. You know, I'm not gonna lie, it was a slightly difficult process, but you know, now that I actually finished, I would say it's rewarding, and I learned some information of something that I did not know in like 7 months ago.
Every day it was like learning something new. Every day was something different, and not only between all of us and the teams, like I said, when we would collaborate, but from Jeff, from you and our mentors as well, they would add in your guys' knowledge and your experience, and then it would just be like, okay, then how do we incorporate this? How do we change this? And it was a really great mix of just education and experience and teaching and learning and growing.
Great. Do you guys think this will be useful? Was it a useful experience, do you think, as you consider careers and moving forward and starting your professional lives?
I think it's very eye-opening per se. It kind of makes you realize how much there is in the, not only just like the engineering realm, but the STEM realm in general. So it's like, it's endless possibility. So I think this is a forever growing industry. So I definitely think this is helpful, and I definitely see myself eventually, taking in a career along this path.
Well, I can speak on behalf of the architecture team. I had no idea that this would entail so much work. I mean, this entire project felt like an additional studio. The takeaway from it, though, is that we were introduced to a whole different concept of thinking with regards to how a data center functions and the design here that goes to create a data center. So that was definite education on our part. But again, the process was tedious.
So I would say this could possibly be the first time many had collaborated across departments. I guess I would let them say that if that is the case. But I would say it was really good because when it does come to like careers within engineering or architecture, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be working with one or the other. So this was good practice to just put into play what we could possibly see in the future. And then for me, I would say I let the Lord lead my path. So I had applied to graduate school, and that didn't necessarily work out. But the very next day, I got like a decline letter, I guess. I got a call for like an interview, and I received that job. So I would just say throughout this experience, I was able to leave with a job that I'll actually be happier in versus graduate school. So I would say it was well worth it, and I'm a happy camper.
And I want to add on to what Jason and Jai said and everybody else. The collaboration between departments definitely was new to us because I know for me, I haven't had to really collaborate with the engineering department before. And I started in 2017. So, I mean, I've been to the building, but never really, knew anybody in that department. So this kind of bridges, the gap. And I think, everybody can take away from communicating with each other.
Yeah.
Because, for architects, future architects, we're going to have to be able to communicate with everybody. And everybody has to learn also that we're not better than you or you or you. We have to work together. Because there's a lot of schools out there that don't teach that camaraderie to their students. They teach their students, this is it, we're the best, so on and so forth. Because, I've collaborated with another school that I don't see that happening, which is sad.
That is one positive about Hampton is that we try to integrate, multiple disciplines into our, degrees like architecture and engineering, because we're the ones that work most with different programs and different disciplines, not even just in the STEM area, but in, in marketing and so much further. And that we've just done really good in collaborating. And like, it was a little hard at first because, we're forced to do something new, something awkward. And I just seen all of us grow. And I think this was a great positive thing. I just want to say great job, everybody.
I just want to say thank you. I feel that before this whole program, I didn't know anything about data centers. And I feel that the architecture department, along with the engineers, we grew up together until the final result. So I really appreciate that. And that connection that we had with the mentors too, that really help us be better in the future. So I really appreciate that.
What related to EECE have you learned?
Since I am an electrical engineer major, my main assignment was working with anything in regards to power. So one thing that I did learn during this capstone was the one-line diagram, the power distribution schematic. The first time I ever done anything outside of having to build the circuit. So that was fairly new to me, and I know Kiatri as well. From the other team, we were working like hand in hand with meeting with our mentors on power distribution schematic. What software are we going to use to build the power distribution schematic, and how does everything connect with each other? Like actually having to look through data sheets to see the loads of all of the power components and see like, is this compatible with this? And can I do this? Am I allowed to do this? To realizing that there are more codes that like the NEIC codes that, we should have, since we're not power engineers, but like, that we should have like a little bit of background to know when creating a one-line diagram. That was definitely something new for us, to like throughout this project. So I would definitely say that.
To add on to what Rose was saying, along with just working as a team on the power schematics, developing the capital and operational budgets, just knowing which components connect to which and having to pretty much, find like how we're going to do that. That whole process was challenging, fun. The whole experience was a good experience, I would say.
Really appreciate your comments. So any closing comments?
This project really taught me a lot about the foundations of the internet and the physical components that go into the internet and how everything connects together with each other. And just scaling out big types of projects is really interesting to see how everything connects together, like the app, then the actual data center, and then employing people and how the whole tech industry works as a whole. So it's really eye-opening, especially in communities that don't have that much internet access. So expanding out to those kind of places is really, I really see a need for that now. So it really opened my eyes to that.
One final comment I'd like to add. It was I'm a people watcher, so it was kind of exciting just to see where people find their happy place. So listening to Kenna talk about the different computers and hyper-converged systems and stuff, and a lot of stuff I pretty much had no clue about, but it's more of the computer network and stuff. His face would light up watching Christian bring his designs to life. I know you're tired, but at the same time I could tell you get excited. And then just listening to the mentors we call, they're pretty much super duper excited that we're wanting to actually talk to them, and they're if you want to, if you need anything else, call me again. Bill, he was a bright ball of energy just from his stories to, I don't know how he knows just about everything he knows, but he was able to always pull up random links for us. So it's just exciting to see people be excited about what they're doing.
Thank you everybody for everything, and we'll see you next week to give us a debrief. So take it easy, man.
Well, thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Keep in
Bye
touch.
everyone. Congratulations. This is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah,
this is
All of you
amazing.
just finished your student presentation. The end of the year. Oops, sorry. Let me.
This, if I may, just one comment. This is amazing. Now, Dimitris, where did you get this student? I want some. This is wow, wow.
That sounds so good from
This is
the
wow.
person who was at the other HQ. That sounds
I'm
good.
yeah. Oh my goodness. One thing really took me. I was so happy that they said it. And Dr. Lee, congratulations. One of the young men there, he said, it opened a new look at engineering. That's it. I mean, that's you can add anything else. That's it. You
Well,
done it.
now to add to that, Mohammed, I pay attention to the students, the ones with the high GPAs, the one with the, borderline 3.0 GPAs.
Yes.
And, it actually really turned things around. The students who were, closer to 3.0 got super excited about the work. They got really involved. And that's sort of what we're missing sometimes with our standard lecture, our standard format at universities. That really showed the power of working with industry and how the students, they saw something that they could actually see real life. So that was a good to see those students get excited.
Yeah, but more important, they start seeing themselves as engineers.
Yes, that's what.
Probably for the first, maybe for the very first time, real engineers, not students of engineering.
This young lady looked and she said, "I got a job out of this deal."
Mohammed, your microphone is off.
She said, the young lady said, "I got a job out of this deal.
Yeah.
That's much better than grad school."
Yeah.
Okay.
Those comments are gold. Gold.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
From an industry standpoint, the thing that jumped out to me is near the end, I forgot which student it was, where he said, in places where we don't have a lot of good connectivity,
yes,
I can see the need for it. I'm like,
yeah.
That is the definition, the very definition of the digital divide and the issue we've got. Broadband not being there, but the fact that he gets, I'm designing all this stuff to do it.
Yes.
Here's how I get, now I see why it's needed. Oh man, that again, it literally hits on almost every one of the strategic initiatives that we care about.
And
as industry as well.
Quick comment. I saw Regina trying, I don't know if she was raising her hand, but she wanted to make a comment or something.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody.
Morning still.
And I'm winding down my second year as a AAAS Science and Technology Policy Fellow at NSF. Former professor and also person from industry. So I was wanting to say, where were you guys when I was teaching senior design for 3 years? That's what I want to know, because it was always a thing of trying to find people to help and support our projects. And so I was thinking about this as I was watching these students, because it brought back the memory of what it is when you're teaching a senior design course, for one, and what it takes to really get students as they're about to exit the university and they've had all this the curriculum, all this is what they know, the solving of problems, the typical you do the work, hand in the problem, get your grade. But senior design and the capstone courses say, well, we need to now bridge you somehow with industry where many of you will be going. And sometimes that's very difficult to do. Students don't really see that picture at that point. And so that, I think this project was excellent in that regard. It's nice to see a company come in and actually say, here, we want to do this, and have these students then be able to see and reinforce also something that was really big with me, because I'm both an electrical engineer and an industrial engineer. And so it's great to see the interdisciplinary aspect of engineers not being in that silo, thinking that they're the only ones who do something, but they know that they have to also start being more of a team player and work with people from other disciplines. So I just thought this was really an excellent project, and I'm hoping that it will be something that can indeed go to some of the other universities that we have. Our MSIs is really great, and congratulations to Hampton to helping to lead the way in this area.
One other thing I just want to emphasize again is that the level of people that were on that call from the industry is not just one company. I mean, literally Apple, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and they were interested. and they wanted to hire people. That's to me is just such a powerful combination.
Yes.
You know, so I'm just really proud that we can even bring the things together like this.
And
Lots more
all
to
of
do.
them, they are, you know, I'm sure if they talk like that in front of any company, they will be hired. And you were talking even about the communication. My goodness, they were. It's impressive.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, one other thing that stood out to me, which I hope the students picked up on, was the number of entrepreneurs that were a part of your team as well, too, on the call. I actually wanted them to hear the fact that, yes, I am the CEO of such and such, you know, data center. That was something that, you know, the student like Akina, he wants to be an entrepreneur. So for him to actually see those number of entrepreneurs, I thought that was good too. Besides, you know, some students want to go right into industry, but others have an, you know, desire to start their own business, and I thought that was good. You guys had a good number of companies like that.
Yeah, and I'll just say again, you know, serving as a mentor and spending so much time with these kids, you know, when they present it, I mean, just simple things too, that, you know, beyond the engineering is obviously how to work together as a team, how to cross-functionally work as a team, how to present in a coherent manner and all that kind of, so there's like these soft things that they're going to have a huge leg up when they enter the workforce of going through this experience, you know, which is going to be fantastic, you know.
One other thing to include in that too is that being able to have a community once you leave college, they can be part of the iMasons community. If they're in their industry, they basically are already connected to these people and will stay connected. So there's just a support system that's going along with this too.
That whole mentorship part. So that was key. Like you were saying, Regina, when you taught, I mean, so these guys came in, they didn't just give us the idea, they actually wanted to be involved with the project. So we actually had to give up a little bit of our, you know, our control. And that's where that two-parent thing came in. If the, you know, parents have to be sort of equally yoked. But they actually wanted to be involved. They didn't just, you know, we have had industry inspired capstones before. They would write it up, they would give us money, and that would be it. And we would actually give them a product at the end of the year, and they may not even review it. These guys said, okay, here's the idea we want to have. Here's the idea we have. We actually want to meet with the students weekly, along with you guys, and we have these mentors that they can reach out to, and that was very powerful. For the students to meet with, like you were saying, Miguel, meet with real engineers in the profession. I thought that was a very big plus. Not just sponsorship, but the mentorship part was.
Yeah, a note on process, as Dr. Geddes just said, we had a team of mentors met with the students every week, but every time they'd say, I need to know more about this or this, we'd connect them with people in the industry that were experts on that. And so outside of the classroom, the students had 30 probably, you know, conversations with experts all over the world and so as Dean said, when they leave here, they've begun to build a professional community of people in the industry, and they can say, oh, I know that guy in the Netherlands who's the expert on, you know, excess heat reuse. I talked to him, you know, back in my, you know, when I was doing my bachelor's degree. That's pretty cool.
Right.
Well, looking at the agenda, you know, the next topic, formal topic here is, you know, the plan for next year, and that sort of brings me around to my goals for this meeting. I sort of had two, as I said. The first was each of the four mentors that met with the students each week, and Philip is one of them, and I was another, and then two others that aren't on the call. We've all want to carry this forward, and we've all agreed to support a capstone project at a new school, and we'll recruit ourselves, each of us, a little team of people to support, you know, that seed that we're going to plant at a new school. And so one of my goals in this meeting was to pitch to all you members of the IEC. We want to expand this. We think we can support 4 schools next year, probably Hampton being one if they'll have us again. So 3 additional schools, and do it again. And it'll be similar to what we did this year, but we're going to tune it up, and we learned a lot, and it'll be a little different. The other thing that is really cool is this year, because of COVID, these students didn't see each other all year. I mean, they did these projects from their bedrooms, collaborating across disciplines and with their other engineering colleagues. Next year, we hope, kids will be back in school, they'll be working together in a lab, and we can also get them into data centers, which we just couldn't do this year. Data centers are all closed down. They're critical facilities. Couldn't happen in COVID, but we can provide data center, tours really almost anywhere. So that'll be part of the project next year. So my thought is if any of your schools are interested in hosting a capstone, and one thing I wanted to say also, this first one was done as a senior year capstone project. Miguel, as an example at UTEP, is interested in doing a similar kind of format project, but as a master's level project. Miguel, what do you call it again? But
yeah, we're trying to think of, we have a non-thesis option in our program that is project-based. So we were thinking of having a capstone-like, an idea they have been playing around, and this kind of came up, and I say, oh yeah, maybe this is the way to test this idea, is to have a capstone type for that master's track. So it will be a capstone type course for the graduate students that are in the master project option.
Right.
So clear.
We'd like to hear from anybody that wants to host this, and I see if you want to discuss that, that's great. And let's make a list. And
so Claire, it never stopped me from talking, but Claire, can you tell us where are we in the agenda? In other words, can I talk?
So I think we're on the planning next steps and where do we go from here, and potential collaboration with the IEC.
Okay. So Prairie View I&M, that's where I am, and it's 100% I would like us to participate. Probably more so like a senior design in the first step. 2 things, it's not even a critic, it's just a comment. I see 2 things here for us to kind of things that didn't work well. I don't know how to call it based on Dr. Lee's comment. I think the very first one that we need to do with the 3 schools, at least there are 3 here, is to start planning early. Okay. I know you guys, you just started there. And then I think from our part, and I think this is IEC and our schools, is when we come talking to you about the planning, we have a concrete idea. What is it that we want to get out of it as academician? And then you supply what you want to get from it as from the industry point of view. And so there is a little bit of match. For example, student through 4 years or a little bit less than 4 years, they were really focusing on circuits, on digital logic, on running experiment, etc. Like this young man who said, this is totally different. I think when we start looking for this this project, we should also be thinking about along those lines. The kids like to build things, like to put things together. And so that will be, now you gave them the bigger picture, they have simulation, etc., but it will be also interesting to get down to the level that they learn in their classroom, and it will be direct application of what they learn from the classroom. And number 3, I think when you discuss with us, this is when we really need to think hard, the university, where to use the data center. Do we have things that need data center or need us to be attached to data center? Because that's, it seems to me, that's what you guys ultimately you want to do. And from the IEC point of view, and maybe Miguel can help me, I think we, IEC, we have, it's coming up actually 1 month, in less than a month, we will have a meeting with the entire IEC memberships. And I would like in that time for Dimitris to make a little bit presentation of what happened and maybe show a little bit of clips of the student. That's very, very powerful. And I tell you, if you show that, all 18 schools would like to participate. Okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep. I didn't sleep. No, I'm still awake. No, never sleep. Just kidding.
I like what you stated. I know one thing that I would like the students to understand data centers early on. So I see us actually having so when the mentors are meeting with our capstone design students, they may be willing to do a presentation for our introduction to engineering class. You know, get them sort of involved with other students, especially since, you know, you guys, there are internship opportunities as well too. So if, you know, if you're presenting to some of our underclassmen, they may actually, you know, be good candidates for internships. So I would like to incorporate, you know, time or modules within some of the lower level classes as well too.
The other thing, Barry, if you, I don't know, I tell you, this thing, gonna forget the whole thing. Barry, I think, what do you think if we put that in the agenda with the IEC, and we have for the entire committee, for the entire group, maybe a monthly lecture from industry? So it's like a monthly webinar for the IEC, and I think
member students.
No, to the presentation from industry for all students, so we can have it, and it can be recorded, so people will go and that's probably the time when industry can make a pitch, or the industry can say what they want to say, and because there is, you know, you guys, this the iMason people, I don't know what they drink. I mean, they are so energetic and so full of energy, and the kids said that. Yeah, that's good music.
So Mohammed, if you're done talking, I can respond.
I'm still talking here. You know, I didn't tell you, but Claire usually does.
Did Claire do that? No, what I wanted to say though is that's a great idea. We're always looking for ways for more engagement, you know, with the IEC, beyond the board members, beyond the department heads, you know, getting faculty and even getting students involved. You know, that's a great suggestion. And you know, Mohammed, I know that the iMasons program is part of our sort of regular Friday agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, by all means, let's bring it up tomorrow.
And by the way, this is my last. I when I was a professor at Howard, I used to say jokes, and I laugh at my own jokes. It didn't go well. The student, you hear boo. So I hear you. I'm gonna close myself. I won't talk too much.
Mohammed, we know you cannot do that very long.
You're right.
Hey, Jeff, Jeff, one idea.
Dean, you're cutting out. It's hard not catching it.
Sorry, one idea as well. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me.
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. You guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. No worries. Oh, that is better. Okay, great.
One thing that comes to mind, Jeff, is the DI 101 course, the introduction to digital infrastructure. Maybe there's a way we can weave some of this in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And again, to the broader IEC, I think would be very powerful. And I totally agree. We should have industry collaboration, talking and answer questions. You know, that's pretty easy for us to do. And the success of this first thing with Hampton, I think, is going to breed more success with more people wanting to be involved because they see the result. Last night, again, Jeff was a perfect example. Here's executives all over the world going, "Oh my God, that is awesome," right? And donating more money.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So, and then one other thing I wanted to touch on too is I really think it is important, as you were saying, the hands-on experience. Philip, maybe there's something here we can do with standardized module things that could go to these participating schools of a center. We talked about this before, Jeff, too, right? Like, or even just collaborating with the data centers that might be on site already. We'll do something with that. But if they don't
does not have variety.
it's a modular solution and ed solution.
Okay, be quiet, dude.
It's easy for people to do it, but they could modify. I think there's a lot of practical potential.
Dean, we don't hear you. You speak funny.
Hands-on, I remember myself.
That's amazing that we can still hear his voice.
Yeah. Claire, if you're able to,
that's long of a delay, huh?
If you're able to mute Dean, I think you should. I mean, he's my boss. I may get in trouble for that. But
I think I'm done.
I'm not sure how it shows that he's muted now, so I'm not sure where the
Yeah, there's like a lag in his signal getting to.
Yeah. So Jeff said he's the boss, so he can do
wanted
anything he
to
wants.
add that, you know, our vision, my personal kind of vision would be to create a sandbox data center lab at multiple schools that, you know, that students can be very hands-on and, you know, put the servers together and make it work, and then overheat the room and say, oh my God, I never thought about cooling, and I'm just, you know, figure all that stuff out.
Yeah, yeah.
And
also
the next step, I think, would be to have commercial data centers, existing data centers that have, you know, an iMasons lab affiliated with the university that's a proper data center environment that the students, you know, after having graduated from the sandbox, can go card key into a proper data center and be hands-on with, you know, real, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure, and working in a real environment that is hard to get at a university, to be honest. I think that'd be a really cool collaboration. I'd like to move forward to set that up. And as we started the conversation, I think what's necessary to move that forward, we have the hardware and the expertise. What we need is, what I need IEC's help to do is develop a semi-standardized curriculum that, how does this work? So we can cookie cutter it, because we're really good at that. We can, you know, we can cookie cutter this stuff. What's a little hard for us to do as an industry association is manage custom projects that are different at every single school. It's just hard. It's, you know, as an association, it's hard for us to manage those. And I think if we can develop these labs, each school can develop their focus, and they can develop their research areas and stuff that would be somewhat different, and that's great. But if we have sort of a standardized curriculum that we can deliver, I think we can do a lot.
Maybe you know, what that says, Jeff, real quick, that you guys want to be involved. That's what it says.
Yeah, exactly.
So you actually don't want to just donate and leave, and that's So,
Yeah.
you know, some people will just take it and they'll do whatever they want to do with it. But you guys, and I appreciate the fact that you guys actually want to be involved. You're like, oh, if I give you this, I'm going to have to help you do this. I'm going to have to help you do that. And
Well,
that sort of makes it a little bit more difficult.
Just real quick too, Jeff.
Oh, go ahead.
2 points, right? What I think would be really cool is when you talk about the, you know, the data, like a lab at Hampton, say you have a lab at UTEP, is the students are actually between the two universities are starting to collaborate and trying to connect, right? That'd be kind of a cool concept as well. And then second, in terms of data centers, I mean, that was something we've always offered up. I got my boss to commit, hey, we can give you guys free racks in our data center. We have them down in Southern Virginia. And, you know, so you're going into a real facility and being able to see what that's like. And it's that hands-on real life experiences that would be, you know, really cool.
So I have an idea here, and I don't know. Most of my ideas are not good, but let's try this one.
Mohammed,
If
you said that you weren't going to talk anymore, and Regina was trying to say something.
Okay,
Are you going to yield to the young lady?
Virginia, you go ahead, my dear friend. My mistake. Okay, go ahead, Regina.
That's okay. That is quite all right. And we're all just kind of jumping in here. But I like the idea of the standard curriculum. I think that's really great. And then from the standard curriculum, each university can kind of branch off and do whatever project they have set that they really want to see accomplished that particular semester or that particular year. But I think of one question I was listening to you, Jeff, when you were speaking, you were talking about the students going into, you know, keying into the actual data centers. I think that seems like, I don't know how that would be set up, but I think I might see a lot of nervous people from those data centers with students walking in saying they're going to be looking for something, or we're looking for some assistance over here. You know, they probably might be getting a lot of pushbacks. I think that will have to be one that was really, really thought out carefully, because you know, people are going to see students as students, and maybe somebody who might be in the way as opposed to being of great assistance. And so, yeah, I mean, I like the idea.
Boy, you're exactly right, Regina. This would not be easy. On the other hand, I think many of the operators, and Philip is here from EdgeConneX. What would be kind of out of bounds probably is you know, having random students kind of wandering around the data center in where they actually operate customer, you know, provided equipment, but to create one little cage that is the lab, you know, that they have access to the facility and they get in and they see what the facility is, and they have to interact. And so if they do something wrong and take down a server, you know, in that little lab corner, it's not like they're taking down Google or something. But I think, you know, if we begin with this concept and build it forward and create these industry partnerships, something is possible. And you're exactly right. That is a concern that we'll have to deal with for sure.
We could figure that out, Regina. We could put in a secure corner, and this is where the mentors come in, and they would be assisted, right? They're not just going to come in anytime and so forth. So we can figure out the logistics around that. But again, I think it's hands-on, going in, seeing the security, getting through the man trap and going to the cage and seeing how it really works would be cool, right? At the minimum, we can certainly do the tours. At the best, you know, we can try to figure out if we can get them a sandbox and a data center and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong, but I just know sometimes,
you
know, from an industry standpoint, we kind of see things a little different, because then I worked in the industry 20-some years myself, so you see things a little different than sometimes people do in academia. For some reason, academia is the whole thing's a little closer, I think, just in terms of where students stand and what students can be allowed to do. So I mean, I definitely hope it's something that can be worked out, so they can they'll get a good sense of what a data center could be.
Yep.
So cool. Dimitri, I didn't speak for 3 minutes. That's a lot. And I gotta speak now. Okay, this is torture. Now, what I had in mind is maybe with the IEC, we have what we call community of what's the word? Community
practice?
of practice. Yeah, we have a group like that, And maybe you, Dimitri, and Dr. Lee can take head one of these committee, and we figure out a way of how to put a curriculum across the campuses, and that, because of your knowledge more, that has this component that Jeff is talking about and Regina is talking about. And then maybe we can do it. I mean, John Kelly has one with the digital system and with electromagnetics and so on. And so we can put a call there for faculty to come together.
Yeah, I was thinking the even Miguel, Miguel was interested in, I know he had to drop.
Yeah.
UTEMP was interested in doing something at the master's level. And even though they want to do something at the master's level, that doesn't necessarily stop us from collaborating with them.
Yeah.
The capstone students from collaborating with them as well too.
Yeah.
So again, that might actually help with creating a pathway for those students to go to grad school, at UTEMP. So I think we need to spend some time trying to, if it is something that is sort of a idea that can bring all 3 or 4 schools together, including a master's level project class.
Yeah.
Definitely work with my colleagues to develop curriculum around that. So strengthen the capstone design for us, but also think about developing the curricula, because the curricula for what we're trying to do, maybe at the undergraduate level, maybe it does start at the master's level.
Yeah.
Them.
Up to you guys. Yeah.
And also, I'm thinking what to do with the sandbox. What things? Okay, so we have that. How it gets in our curriculum.
Right. So
right.
And that, I think it should be our side, not iMason. That should be from the IEC side.
Yeah, that's the pullback there, Jeff. That I'm talking. You guys, which is, that's part of your mission, right? So the universities might want a little bit of autonomy when it comes to that part. But again, your organization is giving the donation, so there may be some strings attached to it, right? So
that's exactly the question. Mohammed hit the nail on the head. What would you do with this sandbox? If it's not me, but if iMasons, gave you a sandbox, what would you do with it?
Right.
Let's answer that question. If we can answer that question well, in this community, we can provide lots of sandboxes. So let's answer it well.
Yeah.
Jeff, if I might, because I've been a little quiet here listening to everybody, all great ideas, but perhaps defining the sandbox, which is something common across all the IEC universities, so we get some standardization on the project for next year, and have the students design what that sandbox is going to be and design what's it going to do. Why not have the students, from what I saw from this past year, they did such a fantastic job of defining the requirements, evaluating what the designs were, and then putting together, the whole process, the whole business case for it. And I think, doing that for the sandbox would be a great start for the next year. And it could be common across all the universities, define the sandbox. It might be different at each university because they have different requirements. Some of you may want to build it in a 15 by 15 square foot room on campus. Others might want to take it to a colo or an edge data center, but the common thing is define the sandbox for the university, create all the requirements, define, what's it going to serve in the end, and then, develop what the equipment spec is and put it all together. And then you have your design going forward, and we have a list of, what do we need to help the universities to fill those sandboxes.
And just to add on to that, so I think, so that's what was missing this year from ours, like you said, is the fact that they did not get their hands dirty as engineers to actually put something together. But we can also include sustainability as something that they have to consider.
Oh, sure.
Because that's the point. So that's sort of what we said before. Oh, we'll have them build it. And then what? What about the next year's group? So I know one time we said, Phil and I said, well, maybe they tear it down and the next group has the equipment and they can actually, do a design, do their own design with the things that are already there. But that sustainability part, I think, is interesting in terms of how this, whatever they design for their campus, it must be something that could be incorporated into the curriculum or something like that. We can add some constraints around that to make it more sustainable. I like that idea.
I think a nice path forward would be to pick a university to create the first sandbox, and we could support a couple graduate students or something to develop that curriculum, under the IEC's guidance and working cooperatively with IMACES. And again, once we have one, we can, in short order, we can have 10 because we have the curriculum figured out and we can provide the hardware. So I think the trick is getting that first core.
Yeah. All right, I see Kathy here. Kathy, anything you want to add?
Hi, it's nice to see you all.
Good to see you. Okay.
I'm really interested in all these ideas that you have, and I thought I'd just sit in to see what you were up to. And it sounds really, exciting. I have to leave because I have a vet calling me, but I'm going to keep listening.
Okay. All right. Good.
Bye.
So Dr. Lee, what do you think? What can we do next year that could help make sure that we are a part of iMason's sponsorship again?
I can talk, Dr. Lee.
Yeah, please help me, Dr. please. That is a tough question.
Okay.
Yeah, a very tough question. I don't know. Because Jeff mentioned a lab. So a standard curriculum. And maybe, I really want to see 1 or 2 modules we can use across the 4 universities. So is there a way we can create one module, in the past, we were in the IEC, the mobile lab before, right?
Yes.
And Howard helped us, give us those nice equipment so we can use it in my circuit, in the electronics, in other courses. So is there a module that could be used across all 4 universities? It's just 1 lab or 1 module, that would be fine. Get the students' hands dirty. Or even do some programming,
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Build something or do some programming.
I agree.
Or if they like cybersecurity, let them assemble those racks or servers and see whether other people can hack that system. Create 1 or 2 modules to help us. Or power analysis, what is the software they use to do the power analysis?
Yes.
And is it compatible? Because we are using the multi-sim, the electronic bench, and can that software be useful in the power analysis?
These are all good ideas. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think from the iMason side, we're eager to work with you all to explore and move these forward. And I liked Demetrius's idea, maybe, you know, within IEC, it's not clear to me how IEC is going to organize yourself. Tell me who I can work with is what I'm saying. And who has the resources to, you know, to develop this thing that we're talking about. We're ready to support it. And I'm not clear who to latch onto and move this forward on from the IEC side.
You mean as an institution? You need one institution?
I need a person that says, I'm in charge of this and I have the resources and support from IEC I need to make this succeed. And I can say that from my Masons as well.
Well, Barry, what do you think? We need to discuss that. The one I see right now immediately is Hampton, of course, but you are thinking about from the IEC point of view. I guess we need to talk to the leadership and talk with Demetrius and decide how we're going to do that.
Yeah, one of the things that occurs to me, and I didn't mean to jump in, Barry, I'd like to hear your thing, is I think Hampton doesn't have graduate students, and I think this would be a great project for a couple, graduate students to say, we'll give them a little stack of servers and industry engagement, and their job for a year or two or something is to develop this curriculum we're talking about, and,
sure.
And Hampton doesn't have those graduate students.
But developing now from academic, from a pedagogy point of view, developing the curriculum there will be a need for faculty also to be present to make. It's not only a student. Yeah, they can put things together, but development of the curriculum itself.
Perfect. You guys know how to do this.
Yeah,
tell me how you want to do it.
Yeah, that's what I said. The committee of faculty interested in this, usually not us, but faculty who were working, like Dr. Lee, who are working with the senior student also. They meet together and we start thinking about that. We start talking about that, and hopefully from there we can come up with more detailed ideas that we can move with it.
Yeah, I think it's because also oftentimes even a graduate student, unless maybe PhD students or something, maybe, but oftentimes a graduate student at a master's level will not still have that experience or the ability to really start developing a curriculum because they're too new.
Yes.
Too new to be able to do and carry out something like that without a lot of input from faculty.
Great input.
Yeah, as far as coordinating with the IEC, Mohammed, I wonder if this fits into one of our working groups.
That's what yes, that's exactly what I meant.
And again, we should discuss this tomorrow with the leadership team, and we should also give thought to what sort of resources might be required for this as well to make sure that we provide for that.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. As a matter of.
Can I interrupt you, Mohammed? Because I'm sorry I had to take that call. One of the things that as an evaluator, when we look at what you're doing, the idea of documenting the process you're going through now is really important. Because if you document the process you go, it shows how best you were successful at doing this and keeping a running record of, well, this is what we tried, this worked, this was what we tried, this didn't work, and so forth. So if you have someone who is responsible for the record keeping of that, it would be really important for the future, depending on what you decide to do.
That's something we need to do also, Barry, right? With our committees.
But that was just my suggestion. And
I think that's great. Yeah.
And the good thing is we have our assessment. We have to assess our project as well. Just for accreditation purposes. So we'll go through that. We have documents from the students' experience, thanks to Jeff, and they've. I'm sure you guys have your own internal sort of review of how it went this year, and this is what this call is about for as well too. So I know we're at the 130, 131 point. But I feel like we need to say we need one action item, one it feels like we're missing one step because this is like this is our third meeting, and
But the first point is that PVMU and UTEP are in. So you got at least 3 universities now.
Perfect.
And so I am surprised.
We can take one more. So if
that's what I was going to say. I'm surprised, Claire, that the list, I have the list of people who sign in. We had 8 universities. What happened? I don't know. Did they couldn't get in, or?
This is
Not sure. This is pretty typical with Zoom workshops. They'll just want to view the on-demand recording later. And
Okay, because I know John Kelly wanted to be part of it also.
Yeah.
So you get North Carolina A&T, you got PVMU, HU, the other one,
so those three have graduate programs. So A&T, peer review, and UTEP have graduate program. So that'll work. And I'm not sure if you guys have TAs instead of just RAs, but the TAs definitely. This could be support a TA to develop this. So,
one of the geographic areas that is really interesting to us is Northern Virginia, because it's sort of the data center capital of the world, and to have a university, within driving distance of that, there are more data centers in Northern Virginia, literally, than there is anywhere else in the world. It's the most connected place on earth. And EdgeConneX, Phillips dropped now, but EdgeConneX has a number of data centers in that area, and like I said, there's thousands. And so getting a university in that area would be an easy connection to sort of lab and industry. So if we wanted to recruit one more, I'd put a bid in for somebody in Northern Virginia, and I don't even know who that is.
Well, I don't know if I know at Washington D.C. that is not too far. Howard, and Baltimore, you have Morgan State. So there is one in Baltimore, Morgan State, and one in D.C.
Yeah, I think Howard would be excellent, but I don't know anybody there. I
do.
Leave it to you all. So
I do. I spent 32 years there. He's laughing.
Yeah. So maybe you could make a call for us. I think getting Howard on board would be great.
I'm too much of a trouble then.
I'm laughing because when you said it, he didn't even want to mention Howard. I know we're out of time, but
So to wrap this up, we have 3 universities. We need a 4th for next year, and we're going to do a capstone somewhat similar to what we did this year. We'll change it. I mean, we'll improve it, but it'll be a primarily synthetic thing, and maybe we can find a hands-on lab component of it. And I'd like to be sure that the IEC takes on a to-do to come back and say, how can IEC support, developing this lab concept? What resources are needed? Who should we work with? I think that ball's in your court.
I think we'll bring it up right the very next meeting.
Sure. Yeah, that would be tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, yeah.
Great. Well, gosh, it's been such a great experience working with Hampton and with IEC, and
these kids, they made my day. That's really fantastic.
And by the way, we're going to produce a proper video of the Hampton Capstone final presentations. It's just going to take us a couple weeks probably to put it together, and it'll we're using it within our membership to be a promotional tool to get industry support for supporting these in the future. And I'll certainly share that, and you all can use that, of course, within IEC to just gather support as well.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys. Thanks again.
And now, so are we setting up to meet soon at the 4 schools?
That's good. So like he said, he wants us to come back to iMaces and say, hey, here are the 4 schools. This is what it's going to require for this to take place, and then we can go from there. But I guess the goal is to start a little earlier than we did. We started in July or August.
Oh. It should be.
So that means we want to try to push it to like June, maybe a good meeting by Masons in June or something like that.
And so we'll put it in the agenda, and then we'll set up a time and let Jeff and company know and take from there.
Great.
All right, I'm gonna go and eat some.
Great.
Thank you guys. Thanks,
thanks everybody
for IEC for putting this together.
All right, take care.
Thanks everyone.
Thank
Good to
you.
meet you.
Thank you.